It's a special. What are we doing today? Fresh Mark Scents, aka Zest for Life. These fragrances are intriguingly different. Now, you'd say, what is something that is not worn out in the market? Intriguing is something that would grab your attention, something a little bit different. Of course, it's not mainstream, as I said before, but it's something that would be memorable at the same time. These are fragrances that have gone down to be either memorable for their price, like, oh, they're so good for their price, but they're actually good. Out of all the ones that, out of a lot of budget ones, and then you've got the intriguingly different in the mid price range, and you have some designer ones that are old school and have not really been touched that much, but they're old school cult favorites, let's say, that should really be brought out there because there's a lot of fragrances that may try to emulate this, but they are new and they are not the original. So let's check them out. Without further ado, the one that inspired this whole list, the first one that came to mind when I thought intriguingly different was 212 Sexy Men by Carolina Herrera. This is the red one. This is Sexy Man. I don't know how it's different from the grey one, apart from it's a maroon bottle. It's very easy to see the difference that it's maroon, but by the name, they're pretty much all Sexy Men 212. So don't get confused by that. Check out the bottle, Sexy Men 212. It is a licorice fragrance with jasmine and I believe anise star as well. So it has a very unusual, creamy sort of almost Dr. Pepper cherry vibe without being too waxy. It's smooth. That tonka bean is sweet and milky. There is the sort of cherryish top note formed by anise star and mandarin orange. So this is slightly juicy, it's creamy in the base, and it has a very nice licorice kind of note, which gives it a herbal yet sweet facet. So it's intriguing because it's different, it's sweet in a new way, and yet it's still timeless because lots of people can wear it um, despite it being quite difficult for the notes of this perfume to usually work out on most people. Not everybody can wear a licorice fragrance because sometimes they're a bit out there, but this is very accessible. 212 Sexy Men. The next one is something that I mentioned before about the price. There are lots of budget fragrances, but not all of them are good. And this is one fragrance that was sort of muddled up in the list of good for their price, but people didn't really appreciate how good it was on its own. And I myself have had quite a few compliments and quite a few people asking, "What is that you're wearing?" Because it has a sort of authentic Arab oud smell, yet it has praline and saffron, which is very. I really like these notes. Saffron isn't done in the most expensive way, but here you go for £25. Shagaf Oud by Swiss Arabian Perfumes. You probably guessed it if you are a fragrance connoisseur. This oud and saffron combination is magical because you get a lot of oud and saffron, and this is the okay. It's quite a flat oud. It's not too sour or green, but it has just enough animalic notes to mix with the truffle-like chocolate and the very milk chocolatey praline, which is caramel and chocolate. So caramel, chocolate, saffron, rose, which is not too jammy. I think that's what made it popular because not too much of a jammy rose. Sometimes you get that with Mansura, and it's very tart and sweet rather than powdery and floral. This isn't very floral in a powdery way. This has a deep rose, but it's not done in a very sweet way. So it's a um, let's say it's a somber red rose. It's not too celebratory and out there, but I think the chocolate and the caramel and the saffron together with oud creates something memorable, unique. And I've been asked by ladies probably about 5 times actually. I mean, for wearing all these fragrances and remembering 5 times compliment, I mean that's quite a lot actually, compared to a lot of these fragrances. Most people would just say, "You're wearing something nice," but they wouldn't really ask exactly, you know, what is that scent because they never smelled it before. They say, "It's fresh, it's nice, it's nothing new, but it's nice." But this is something a bit different. Check it out. Anyway, the next one is Wild Python by Mansura. There you go. Wild Python by Mansura is a bergamot fragrance that gives me a sort of happy jungle vibe. This is it's very summery. It opens with orange blossom and osmanthus, which is a peachy apricot smell. So you get the bergamot, which is limey and green, and it's very limey and fresh and zingy. It's not at all like lemon. And the orange blossom opens with the white floral. There is no black pepper in here or anything to make it rough, of course. This is a truly unisex fragrance because lots of ladies would enjoy the happy, fun, carefree vibe of this light, fresh perfume with slight notes of peachy osmanthus to make it fun, different, and sweet, and slightly feminine as well because it has that soft sweetness to it. But for a man wearing this perfume, I think that this is like a souped up Dior Sauvage. I mean, if you don't want all the green and all the excesses of blue violet, and you want the freshness of a blue scent without the typical smell of a blue scent and the long lasting freshness of the white floral, which would really keep you fresh more than, say, sandalwood or cedarwood. Cedarwood's great, but sandalwood, it turns into a sort of creamy, soft muddle, and it's not really defined as a very masculine note because it's not pushing itself out there with the freshness. The masculine notes from a blue perfume are really cedar, because that pushes through the whole perfume, through the base to give a mineral freshness. And the reason why bergamot is so popular is because it's limey from the base, from the top to the finish. But it's usually lost. However, this bergamot lasts 9 hours. Aquatic fresh, white floral, very memorable, very summery. I'd say this is for winter, if you want to put it in the sort of scale of weather. Winter, autumn, summer. And we have one last one, which was very special for me because it has a sort of midnight sky effect. It's very smooth, it's sweet, it's memorable, and it has a note of anise star, which I quite like when used properly. I love it when used in cooking with chicken, but that's completely besides the point. When it's used with tonka bean and very smooth like chocolate notes, I mean, it's fantastic. Let me just reveal it. It is Opium by YSL for him. Yes, Opium pour homme, eau de toilette for him by YSL was made sometime in like the 80s or something, maybe early 90s, but it's made ages ago. And what's come after it? There's been many fragrances that have been berry and smooth and a little bit spicy, but this holds its own. You smell the deep bourbon vanilla in this, mixed with the spiciness of anise star, and then there's that blackberry, that juicy, round, warm blackberry. It's a warm blackberry because warmed by the spices. It's juicy because juxtaposed by something that is like tonka bean, which is the creamy. It's a very well-rounded blackberry note, which is very realistic, very soft, a burst of juice with the juxtaposing spiciness of anise star. It creates for a very exciting top note. Then the mid note is galanja ginger or something, which is like blue ginger. And this gives a midnight sky effect. It gives a sort of aromatic, cloudy, effervescent feel, but it has a thick cloud. So the scent travels through this scent cloud, which is very thick. So it has a very good scent trail. It's very long lasting, and I'd say the projection of this is very nice. As an eau de toilette, it projects the best. I mean, you could say cologne would produce the best, but eau de toilette is the best for projection because cologne would be 5%, and with eau de toilette you get the best really. I mean, there's eau de parfum and sometimes it's better, but usually that projects not as much as eau de toilette, because it just has just enough juice to travel as far as it can. That's how I view eau de toilette. I mean, cologne is more of a spritz. I would say cologne is something that I was going to put this in the list. Valentino Umo, the original. Actually, I want to mention this as well. So that's enough of this. This is I got this for I think £65, maybe £85 for 100 ml. It was a long time ago, about 3 years ago. Moving on to Valentino Umo, the reason why I almost didn't put this in the list is because it doesn't last very long. This Valentino Umo lasts about 4 to 5 hours, and it's different in its freshness. I really enjoy the coffee and dark chocolate note it presents. It's very nice with tonka bean. I believe, no, actually, no, this came after Pohon. This came around in 2000s or something. A great time for perfume. I mean, Versace Eros was made in about 2008 or something, and round about that time, wow, so many good things happened. So this myrtle, this green fresh myrtle, it smells a bit like angelica, a bit like camphor. So angelica is a sweet green note that you get in Prada Luna Rossa Black, mixed with tonka bean to give the green and creamy effect. Whereas this smells a bit like camphor, so it's a bit bitter green. It wakes you up. It smells a bit like stinging nettles. Stinging nettles is the harsher version of camphor, let's say. However, this coffee note, this coffee and chocolate note, I mean, wow. Who can hate that? Coffee, chocolate, and iris with tonka bean produces the perfect buttery chocolate, almost like melted chocolate in the air. And that is very gourmand, very addictive to smell, I'd say. So this is the kind of scent that, although it would be there for 4 or 5 hours, you'd be smelling fresh from the camphor after, and all the way up until it dries down, you'd smell some chocolate and coffee and a little bit of a bitter herbal, fresh camphor vibe. Now, some people don't like the effect of camphor with tonka bean. They say, well, I mean, I would say it's a bit like Gourlane Le Homme EDP, which had camphor or myrtle in the top note and had a lot of tonka bean and creaminess in the middle. I enjoyed the creaminess, but people who enjoy the creaminess don't always enjoy the green aspect. So, I mean, you really have to try it in store, but it's touch and go because I, oh, yeah, I invested in 150 mil because I really like the smell, but I didn't remember how it's been reformulated. It used to last for 7 hours when I first bought this, but now it lasts for 4 to 5 hours, which isn't bad if you want to change your fragrances. And I think that, well, Tom Ford says that you should change your fragrances every 5 to 6 hours. I just remember that from a little snippet I saw when I was browsing. But I think he's kind of right. I mean, if you want to enjoy your fragrance, you don't want to smell like a fragrance for 9 hours. Like, I mean, unless you're not doing anything else. If you're at the same event for 9 hours, or you're kind of doing the same thing for 9 hours, that's cool. But a lot of the time, even if I wear something that's 9 hours, I wear something that's complementary to it about 4 or 5 hours after, because I don't want to smell that same thing for more than 5 hours anyway. So 4 to 5 hours, okay, but it is disappointing if you don't know about it. So you've been warned, 4 to 5 hours, but it's a fantastic chocolate scent. Almost didn't make the list, Valentino Umo, but the main ones on this list for price: Shagaf Oud by Swiss Arabian Oud, 212 Sexy Men for the most unique. Wow, well, it's on par between these two, the most unique. And this is the New Age Bergamot scent. Wild Python is, wow, it's out there. It's out there because it's the white floral. Wow, I can go on about forever, but let me just spray one. White floral, bergamot, juicy peach. You get a bit of green vetiver to give that jungle effect, and it's powdery until the end. You get that sort of Tom Ford, effing fabulous. I probably can't even say on YouTube. They had that sort of almost baby white, fresh, light white floral effect. They have that in this, and this comes for £120 or maybe £80 for 120 ml, depending on the sale. I could even get for 60 at sometimes. Sometimes you get for 60 for 120 ml. So never buy 60 ml of Mancera's. No point whatsoever. So that's what I think about these fragrances. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Wherever you do, people, stay free and stay fresh. Pow! Another one. Affordable fragrances for everybody.